thing that everyone is endlessly chasing for. It is happiness. It is for happiness. If you do Google search on happiness, you will see whoever paid the topmost dollar, their advertisement will be come to our website, you will have happiness. As of now, there are about 4 million people who are attending online courses on happiness. Art of living is just about living in happiness. So happiness is actually the birthright of any soul. But are we getting it really is the question. For this year, the list of happiest and worst places on this earth is published. Here is a rank. First is Finland, then Iceland, Denmark, Switzerland, Netherlands, Sweden, Germany, Norway, and so on. India, 139th in the rank. It is even worse than Pakistan, Iraq, or even Iran. It is too bad. People find happiness in different ways. Playing games, surfing on the internet, traveling, eating nice foods, and gambling, and so on. Of course, stock market. I mean, so many things to really do for them so that, they really try to find happiness. There are so many institutions and colleges researching on how we can be happy. They try to approach in a scientific way so that they can improve the quality of life. But the big question comes, what do you mean by happiness? And what do we mean by quality of life? Some say happiness is finishing school, getting a nice and stable job, free of stress and no health issues. Is it that the standard of living or economy that can make us happy? The answer is negative. In fact, the happiest man in the world lives in the mountain with hardly any money with him. He is the happiest man in the world. In fact, books have been written about him. It is recommended that money has very little to do with sustainable happiness. For example, Finland, even Costa Rica are all not rich like USA, but they are happier than USA. But on the other hand, yogis say totally a different thing. They say that happiness is not outside. They call them materialistic people actually as fools. Yogis say that the happiness is actually inside of us. We should spend our life to open up that inner channel within ourselves. That is the real happiness, they say. We research. So there are a lot of research are actually going on. So what exactly the researchers really say? They say that we do not need to be very rich to become happy. We do not have to work like a donkey to be happy. They say simply look inwards and be satisfied with whatever that is coming to you and you will be happy. Never compare with others. If you are satisfied, you are the happiest man in the world. But how many people really take that as the truth? This is the recent news. It is also about how our world is getting weird every day. Here what you see is called invisible art. It was sold for real visible $18,000. Yes, it is called invisible art of happiness. No brush, no paint, no ink, basically nothing at all. The artist is from Italy. His name is on the slide, if we can really read it. I can't read it. He says, my art is a work that asks you to activate the power of your imagination, a power that anyone has, even those who don't believe that they have it. So, when you buy a new home, keep one wall completely plain. Do not hang anything or place anything. Don't do anything there because that may be worth $18,000. Now let us see what exactly our Vedic scriptures say about happiness and happy life. They say 4 things. Dharma, religious and moral duty. Artha, accumulating wealth. and kama, conjugal pleasure, and then moksha, liberation. But the same Vedic scriptures also say that other than moksha, everything else is not really happiness, because they are all only temporary flickering happiness, and that comes and goes. Because the world is always mixed with sorrows and worries, because it is dukkhalaya. Now let us look at the planetary systems, material and spiritual. There we find various levels of happiness. You start all the way from the bottom, the hell, then lower lokas, and then heavenly lokas, and Brahman, Brahma Jyoti, and then above that is Kailash, then Vaikunta, then above Vaikunta you see Goloka, Goloka Vrindavan, and all those. In a nutshell, that is overall. While hell and the lower lokas have negative happiness, that is more suffering than any happiness. In Brahman there is no suffering, because you won't be there to feel, because you are not there. You are everything, you are conscious, everything is gone. It's a spiritual suicide. You are making yourself zero, nirvana. So that is supposed to be there. Of course, compared to hell, it is happy. But relatively, it is zero. No happiness, no worries. Then in the spiritual world, the real happiness is seen, but in various levels. That is why Vedas say Panchama Purushartha, not four. Like as I said, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. But there is one more thing. What is that? What is that? Krishna Prema. That is the fifth one. Alright. But the search for happiness is always going on. It goes across our lives. We are going over planets after planets, Brahmandas after Brahmandas. That is the fact. Every one of us is engaged in a long, long journey. In fact, very long journey. This journey began at a time that is immemorable. We don't even know. Long, long ago, once upon a year, long, long ago. And no one knows when it will end also. We are going from one life to another, stepping on one cloud to another cloud and another cloud, but the clouds never end. This is called samsara sagara, called unending ocean. Every time we are born, we think that we are permanently glued to a family. But did you select the family? Did you plan for it? Did you ever plan that you want to be born as a boy or girl even? In fact, our body also does not belong to us. And when we die, we cry if we can, that we miss the family. Others also cry that they will miss you, hopefully, giving them any more hard time. We have been doing this for unlimited times again and again and again, but no one seems to care or think about it hard. So we behave like animals, because animals live the same way. So we even get so attached to the dogs and cats and even snakes and reptiles. When they die, we cry. Not only us, the animals also feel so much pain when it misses his master or friend. It's crying. Because his friend is dead, he's trying to bring him back to life. So, even Arjuna cried for his relatives. He thought he was intelligent, dharmic, and passionate. We also think that we are intelligent. But Lord Krishna called Arjuna a big fool. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Asocyan Anvasochatvam prajnavadam cha bhashashe gatasum agatasum cha nanu shochandi pandita. Bhagavad Gita 2:11. Krishna said, Arjuna, well, you are speaking intelligent words. You are mourning, you are either crying for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise will not lament like this. Either they are living or dead. A wise will never lament for them. So Lord Krishna took the position of the teacher and chastised the student, calling Arjuna a fool. The Lord said, you are talking like a learned and intelligent man, but you do not know what is body and what is soul. So one who knows what is body and what is soul does not lament for any stage of the body. Rather, neither in the living or in the dead condition they won't be really worried about at all. So that is a wise. So whether you believe it or not, every one of us is going to die. You can raise, if you are not going to die, please raise your hand. Every one of us. We have to be prepared to die at any time. That is intelligence. Actually, when my mother passed away, I was actually very happy. Really, I didn't cry. People were crying, but I was really so happy. So many reasons behind. Because I knew where she is going. But anyway, even then, our village people, everybody came and did their routine crying. What you see here in this picture, watch out, are the paid professional people in Sri Lanka who will mourn and cry if your relative is dead. Of course, after they do the professional crying, you have to pay their bills. So most of us actually live by sentiment and foolishly think that this body and world is permanent and we are here to stay. And some people are really mad. One of our family members told a real incident. In fact, one man in Cary wanted to buy a new home. Before closing, she was diagnosed with a terminal cancer. The doctor gave the deadline. You are going to be out. But she was so adamant and mad that she will live at least one day in the new home. Yes, the house was closed. And the woman was carried in a bed into the new home to live for one day, and the next day she died.
Yeah, this will happen.
But the fact is that the life is just one of the millions of stops that we do. Because these stops, we will encounter so many stops like this. And this life where we are is one of those stops. It's a very long journey. On the way of our journey, we will stay in so many inns. This world is just one of our stops in our long journey. These inns, temporary places, do not belong to us. When the time comes, we have to vacate. You cannot say, Yamaraj is coming, come on, come with me. You cannot say, give me 5 minutes, nothing. Instant. You have to vacate. And when we vacate by leaving our body, there is automatically another body is made for us. Vasanti jirnani yata vihaya navani grignati naroparani tada sarirani vihaya jirnai anyani nisamyati navani dehi. As a person puts on new garments, giving up the old ones, the soul similarly accepts a new material body. giving up the old and useless one. And if you happen to eat meat, you will be punished in hell or born as the same kind of animal that you ate. Suppose you ate, maybe 5,000 chickens in your life, you are going to be born 5,000 times as chicken, and then somebody will be killing you and eating you. Because law of karma, nobody can escape. So you will be on the plate of somebody else. Law of karma, nobody can escape. But the big question comes, which is going to get into the topic, is when will our journey end? Actually, the journey does not end by itself. No, it is not that easy. Unless we really take some relevant action. Otherwise, there is nothing like dead end. This is the samsara ocean, unending journey. So now, with the prelude, I would like to, so far whatever I was talking was just preparation only. Okay, all right, so that you can come to the platform. So as I said, the journey will not end that easily unless we take some relevant action. For that, we need some help also. Of course, who can help you? It is only the Lord Krishna, the Lord himself can come to help. But how does he really come to help you? He sends his devotees from the spiritual world. They are called saints. They do not belong to this world. They live in the spiritual world. Out of mercy from the Lord, they are sent to our world. These saints will help to end our samsara. So what is the way that we will come to an end? Is by the help of these saints. There is no other way. Because without help, nobody is really going to first of all wake us up. Somebody, you have to have a alarm. Say, hey, come on, it's 5 o'clock, get up. So that the saints do. It's time for you to really do some action. So last time, we talked about the glories of Vaishnavas. The Vaishnavas are the angels who have come to take us out of this unending samsara. From this week onwards, I want to cover some unique stories. They are about the history and teachings from the Vaishnava saints. This will continue probably for a long time, because I have compiled a list of about 30 or 35 saints. In fact, Jesus Christ is also one of them. So they are about the history and the teachings from those saints. As they are stories, hope that you will be interesting, so that because we all love to hear stories rather than reciting some slokas or something, some very high dry philosophy. So with that introduction, as the first one I would like to narrate is the life of one saint called Surdas. I remember I gave some a small program a long time back. That was 2018, long time back. So he was one of the most renowned poets of India. In fact, this year, his appearance day came on May 17th, just a month ago only. He was born in a place called Sihi. It is near New Delhi. He was born in 1479, but he was born blind. Sur means blind. And he had 3 brothers, but because he was blind, he was neglected. Everyone forgot his even real name. I think probably because they started calling Sur because, oh blind. That's how we got the name. Nobody even know what was his real name that his father and mother really gave when he was born. So people called him Sur, means blind. And the father completely neglected him. He did not even bother to see him. Even when Surdas, that time he was called Sur, came near to his father, he will chase him away with a stick. That was really bad way of treating a child. Even mother did not bother to feed him. Mostly he went hungry. On Deepavali days, all his brothers used to get new dresses. But you know what exactly Surdas used to get? A old dress. Something worn. Why? It does not matter. He is not going to see whether it's a new dress or old dress. So there is a saving of some money. So this was how he was brought up. He could not go to school as he was blind. And his playmates were always teasing him that he was an idiot, that he did not know anything. And when he complained to his mother, the mother only scolded at him. You are blind, Sur. Why are you going why are you going to school? What are you going to learn there? Because remember those days, even there is no such thing as blind. The schools for the blind. Now we are actually living in luxury. At least there is a way to really learn, to teach them. But those days, there was none. And one day, this is how his change of life came. He heard a group of bhajan singers were passing by. They were singing a nice bhajan as they marched. It was a Krishna bhajan. Surdas was so attracted by the bhajan. His soul was getting awakened. He wanted to join and sing that bhajan with them. But he was blind. So getting attracted and to the bhajans and singing is the very first step to see the awakening of a soul. I will tell you. The first thing normally I ask you is, sing a bhajan. If he says, no, I don't like to sing a bhajan, you know where he is. Not qualified. Because this is the indication that the soul is in a different stage. It's awakened. It will respond to this kind of sound so nicely, because that is why when you really do Nagar Sankirtan, right? Hare Krishna on the street, there will be some souls who will immediately get attracted and they will come. Wow, this is what I want to hear. This is why they will go like this. So it was a Nagara Sankirtan. So then Sur really went and asked his father, oh dad, oh father, please teach me at least one bhajan. Father said, forget it, get out, go away. You are blind, why do you want to sing all these things and all? Go away. And another day, a different group of singers passed by. The song again pulled his heart. He could not stop this time. He just walked up, just got up. She just got up and then started walking behind them, following the sound, because he cannot see any people. He started following where the sound is going. He forgot his family. He forgot his father. He forgot his mother. He forgot everything. So he was just literally following the sound. He left the house and going after them. Somehow he could really keep track of following them. But then they were actually looking at him and saying, you are blind, what can we do with you? But still he was following. And the group traveled far away. In fact, they were talking how long it is to really go to Vrindavan. And on the way, they stayed in a village for the night. He got a lot of prasadam because people were kind, because he was blind. So they were really feeding and feeding. Oh, he said, I have never seen in my life this much food that I could eat. Mahaprasadam. So that was the day. After years, he ate a heartful meal. But then he went to sleep nicely with good food. Next day he got up, there was no sound. Everybody left him. Nobody bothered to even wake him up. Nobody bothered to really take him along with the group. They left the place. So now, Surdas is an orphan now. He was blind. And he has left the house. He has no way to even trace back. It's a long way that he has traveled already. There is no one to be ready to help. Everybody shouts, "You are Sur, blind, blind. Go away, go away." He did not know what to do. He was hungry and no place to stay. And there was a tree. There was a little shelter that he could feel that, oh yeah, there is a tree. And he simply sat there under and started to memorize and sing whatever that he was hearing from them. Look at here. Just a few moments, he could really hear this bhajan. And whatever he could really grasp, Krishna, Rama, Krishna, he started chanting and chanting and chanting and singing in whatever the style that he could think of. There, whatever the few lines that he really heard from the bhajans, he was constantly singing. And they were all about Lord Krishna. And what will he do for his stomach? He's hungry. So he's trying to beg, go for begging. Whatever he could get, he started begging right there. Like that. Days went by, weeks went by, months went by, and even years went by. But he was always constantly talking about people. They were all talking about Vrindavan, going to Vrindavan, staying there, Madhura, these and everything, all the things. But he couldn't do anything. But he was chanting more and more and more. When he was chanting more and more and more with concentration, miraculously, he was developing divine powers. Always remember, if we chant with real attention, you will inherently see a lot of powers coming in. Yes, he was able to see so many things because all the indriyas were all started to shine because of the chanting. So even though he was blind, he could see without eyes things that no one can see. He could see the different planetary systems. He could see the different levels, Bhurloka, Swarloka, and they are all, all these the angels, they are all going back and forth and traveling. Not only that, when he wants to see a place, here on earth also he could see. But he was blind. Then people started realizing his power. They came to help now. See, this is what happens. As soon as anybody knows that, hey, somebody has got a big power, you go and then he takes something from this thing, some sand, and he makes them into gold. That is it. There will be up with flocks and flocks of people will be coming. But anyway, in this case, one day, a landlord in that area had a problem. He is one of the children, just gone, disappeared, vanished, ran away cases. His child was missing. So he came to Surdas and asked, "Oh Surdas, can you really help me out?" And he told, "You just go from, go to this and this place, it is over here, you turn here, go there, and then your child is there. You go and get them. Get the child." And the landlord did, and the child was there. So the landlord was so happy. So he wanted to give something to Sur. He temporarily arranged a hut for him. Yes, you stay here. Why are you staying under the tree? And in the sun and the hot, sun and rain. You stay there. So he got a hut. So he was staying in the hut. What was he doing in the hut? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Look at, now he has a heart. He can do bhajan. That is became bhajan kutir now. Now it is bhajan kutir. He got a bhajan kutir. Who provided that? The landlord, but it came from Lord Krishna. And now because he got a little place, even though it's not permanent, with the power he got, and with all the spiritual, his indriyas were really opening up. He could see so many realities. And he did not know where the powers were coming, how these things were flowing. He started composing songs. About whom? Krishna. Well, so many songs were coming and coming and coming. And now moreover, when he was composing and singing those songs, Krishna himself came and listened right there. Even though he was blind. But he forgot everything. Even he did not even know Krishna is sitting there. But then he realizes at the end, oh, Krishna also came. So Krishna himself came to listen to his bhajan. And he started conducting bhajans for the local people now. Crowds of people came. And they used to gather to hear his bhajans. So this is a big step now. So now Lord is really making him to do something more. Basically he is trying to really, the Lord is arranging him to really do a mission. And one night, Lord Krishna himself appeared in his dream. And he said, oh Suru, you have to come to Vrindavan, my place. He was calling and calling and calling. And he got up. Krishna came and then calling me to come to Vrindavan. But did anyone else really care about him at all? Only Lord really gave this much care. So he said, yes, I will go to Vrindavan. When? Right now. That is it. He took some water or whatever Kamandala Dharti, he started walking and walking. But he is physically blind. But he wanted to go by walking. And he walked by asking the people, am I going in the right direction? Is that the way to go to Vrindavan? Somebody may say, I am going to go that way. Somebody even purposely want to misguide you. In this world, okay, even if they are not helping, that is okay. They want to mislead the people. This is the problem with the people. But it really took months before reaching Vrindavan. But on the way, he had a very difficult time. During his travel, he did not have anything to eat, literally. Whatever he could beg, hardly anything. Because he had to walk along the forest. And drinking water from well. And begging for food here and there, wherever that was possible. But it was very, very difficult for him. And the problem is, there, even in India, if you really see that, I don't know why they do that. I have seen even in Vrindavan, there are wells, they are not covered properly. If you really start running and if you are playing or something, you will straight away, fall into the well. It is not safe to the children. Think about blind people now. And unfortunately, he fell into a well. Surdas was walking to Vrindavan, walking alone with no one, blind but heart with very, very pure love. He fell into a very deep well. Maybe many bones broken, had to spend 7 nights taken. No one to help, no one to help. Hungry and nothing to gulp. Thinking living is surely hard. Worried he could not please the Lord. Miracle! A boy with a long hand lifted him, giving his own hand. Surdas wondered with joy. Oh, dear son, called for the boy. But no one but only one heard. He knew it was his sweet Lord. So he came out of the well. Finally because now Krishna is also helping more. His joy reached no bound. He started dancing and dancing, and within no time, how he came to Vrindavan, nobody knows. He was in Vrindavan. These kind of things happen even for other saints also. Bilva Mangal Das Thakur, we will be covering his also. Krishna was really holding him, and within no time, they were talking so many things, within time he was in Vrindavan. So he was in Vrindavan. And the beauty there is, he heard about one great saint called Sri Vallabhacharya. Vallabhacharya is a famous, very famous Acharya of the Pushti Marg. He also composed so many songs. In fact, Madhuram, what is the Adaram Madhuram, Vadanam Madhuram. It is there in our Giti Kucha also. But he wanted to meet because he heard. And he had to cross a river to meet him actually. But he was waiting. How will I cross the river? I am blind. So now by arrangement, Vallabhacharya crossed the river and came to see him. This is very rare. Usually, a disciple has to go to Guru, searching for a Guru. But here look at what is happening. A Guru is coming to the disciple. And Vallabhacharya came and then saw him. He could see the Tejas. Wow, he's a divine personality. And he asked to sing a song. And Surdas sang a beautiful bhajan. And Vallabhacharya was, his heart was really melting. And he said, yes, I will, you are my disciple. And he accepted him and ordered him to preach Krishna Bhakti. People from far away came to know because now Vallabhacharya is also coming into picture. And Surdas started singing bhajans more and more and more. Akbar, now the news went to Akbar. Who is that Akbar? Who is that Akbar? Akbar is the emperor at that time. In fact, you might have heard about Tansen, and also there is another very, very famous saint. His name was Haridas Swamiji, Swami Haridas. We are going to talk about his life also. So then Tansen came to know about the quality of Surdas. He recommended Akbar to really get him as one of the singers in his palace, in the court. Surdas said, no, I am not going to sing for anyone other than Krishna. No. You cannot buy me by putting some money for me. I belong only to Krishna. And I will sing only for Krishna. So what could they do? They left the place. And now he sat in a place and he started reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the same place where he recited Bhagavatam for 8 days. It is called Baitak of Sri Surdas Ji. Baitak means sitting place. What did he do there? He read entire Bhagavatam. within 8 days. And this place is so famous. And this is also called his Bhajan Kutir. This is in Vrindavan. And this place, and in this place, he composed 100,000 verses. He sang and somebody else wrote. It is called Sur Sagar. Sagar means ocean. It's a ocean coming from Sur. Or also it is also called Sur Padavali. So 100,000 verses is 1 lakh. 1 lakh verses is something that can you imagine? Look, 100,000. And in fact, the total number of verses in the Sur Sagar is 125,000. What is that 25,000 then? You know what happened? When he was composing the verses, Lord Krishna also comes down, sits near him, and he also recites, adds to his bhajan. And whatever he is telling, Surdas singing. And somebody else, of course, whatever he is singing, all getting written. So totally how many verses? 125,000 verses. Out of that, how many are Surdas bhajans? 100,000. Remaining 25,000 is Bhagavan. Look at how the cooperation is going on now. One day, so he was actually staying in a place where there was a temple also, a nice deity worship, and that temple is Srinathji temple. And every day, when the alangar is really made, basically decoration is made for the deity, they will ask Surdas, Surdas Dasi, please describe the beauty of the decoration and beauty of Srinathji. And he will immediately, that whatever that form, it will appear in his heart. And he will describe every single thing that in the decoration very clearly. People used to be very, happy and think that's how he sings a bhajan, right there, describing the beauty of how he was decorated. One day, the priest wanted to tease him or do a test him. So he did not dress Srinathji. So that means he made Srinathji completely naked. And after that he opened the door of the altar and asked Sri Surdas, "Oh Surdasji, please describe the beauty of today's decoration. Please do so." Sri Surdas remained silent for a few minutes. But the priest insisted, "Yes, you should. You should really sing a verse, a song about describing my decoration today." And Surdas immediately laughed. He then laughed and loudly and proceeded to sing a song. Aaj baye khari nangam nanga. Like that it starts. Today Hari is undressed and naked. All those present were stunned to hear this. Look at, this is how divine personalities are. Nearby Parasoli, nearby to that place is Parasoli. This is the famous place for Lord Krishna's rasa dance. In fact, this Maha Rasa dance, this is the place where he dressed very nicely. Of course, it's near to the place is called this Parasoli. So that is the place where he dressed him very nicely, Sundar. He also manifested high holy Giriraja rocks. We won't call rocks, Giriraja. So there were, called Shila, we'll say Shila. One is called Sundar Shila, also known as Giriraja, Mukharavind. If you go to Vrindavan, you can see that even today. Second one is Tandavati Shila. When he manifested he gave Tandavat Pranam to this Shila. That's why it is called Tandavat Shila. Another one is Sinduri Shila. This is the place he got Sinduri. Sinduri means the Kungumam. From that rock, so many, the Shila, so much of Kungumam came. He took and they decorated Radharani there. Then Kajal Shila, that is Kajal. Then Bhajani Shila, it makes a very wonderful, nice, like musical sounds when you really touch them. Even now, if you really go to Vrindavan, you can see this particular Shila. You really strike on it, it makes beautiful, beautiful one. This is Chandra Sarovar, near the same Parasauli where Lord Krishna performed Rasalila. How long he really performed this Rasalila? He performed this for entire night time of Lord Brahma. What is the lifetime? What is the night time of Lord Brahma? Anyone? 4.32 billion years. 4.32 billion years, how can it possible? Krishna was here only 5,000 years ago, and then after some 125 years, whatever he left back, how could he really do it for 3.42 billion years? That is where the manipulation of the Kala is done by him. Kala is available only in this planet, the material world. When he takes all the gopis, everybody to really dance, he goes beyond Kala. This is how he really manipulates the Kala. So that was a night of Sharat Purnima, and it is said the moon was fixed to stay and hidden at this place. This is why this is called Chandra Sarovar, the lake of the moon. Okay? Now I am going to talk how he really left the body. On a particular day, Sri Vittalanath. Who is Vittalanath? Vittalanath ji is a son of Sri Vallabhacharya. He asked him, "Oh Sur, what are you thinking about?" Surdas then composed a song as what exactly he was singing. Kanjanain Ruprasmate. Like that it started. It means that Krishna's beautiful eyes are like Kanchan birds. They are full of rasa, very restless, but slightly tainted with red in his eyes. Why? Because of the maddened with his rasa. He is enjoying. He is participating in the rasa dance all the time. And then he said, by seeing him now, my life can no longer remain engaged in this body. Saying this, he left the body. So the witness was Sri Vittalnath ji. He said, he cried, he had a tear-filled eyes. He said, today the boat of Pushti Marga has departed. So this is the power of Krishna's little ray of mercy, how we have seen in the life of Surdas. Before, he was blind and illiterate. His father and brothers neglected. Even his own mother neglected. Everyone neglected him like a dust. Even pilgrims, supposed to be devotees, dumped him. Now, the great emperor came at his feet. Then the Lord came to listen to his kirtans. So our Lord never ever neglects us. He is the only one who truly loves us. All glories to the pure devotees. All glories to our sweet, ever sweet Lord, Lord Krishna. O my mind, with staunch faith, perform Hari Bhajana, without which you cannot be delivered. And with your mouth, chant the names of Brajendra Nandana, Gopi Pranadana, the life and wealth of the gopis. And Shyama Sundara, whose beauty enchants the whole material manifestation. There is no certainty when your life will actually finish. And you will never think about your deliverance from the material world. But very fearsome Yamadutas are standing near you. Bhagavan, whose power causes the three worlds to tremble in fear, you have forgotten. This is your misfortune. Thus, you are suffering in this material world from different kinds of miseries. And now you are about to die. You have become intoxicated by your high birth and wealth, thinking yourself very high class. But you have forgotten that one day the Yamadutas will take you, tying up your hands and feet. So whether one is a sannyasi or a very low caste person, without performing Hari Bhajana, one will continue to rotate in the samsara and go to the hell named Raurava. Now coming back to my prelude about all the different the suffering that we really go through, and the hell, our death, everything is all now you can find in this bhajan. Yes, you are ready? Yes. 1, 2, and go.
Thank you.